You can spot them around in the yellow and white and the shiny faces, and they just completed half of their teacher's training course. It's just getting harder and harder from here. But we like to really appreciate the dedication and commitment, and just to share that this 4-week yoga immersion, what we call the teacher's training course, is a great gift of Swami Vishnudevananda, the founder of this ashram, a great gift to humanity. It's the first yoga teacher's training course in the West since 1969. And this course we have here at the ashram 9 months of the year, from November to July. And for many people who have done this training, they would share that this would be in many ways the most significant and meaningful month of their life. Forget about the children being born and all this thing. The TTC is the one to remember. Not to talk about marriage or anything like that. TTC was definitely surpasses that. And we just wanted to say that many times people may have a doubt if TTC is the right thing for me, if I'm too old, or if I have enough experience, or if I have enough Lululemon clothing. But really, just so we know that to do TTC, there's only one qualification, and it is the desire to be happy. That if we really want to be happy, then TTC is for us. And if we don't want to be happy, then TTC is also for us. Actually, yoga is a sense of happiness, and the only qualification is to want to be happy, and then we do the TTC. So TTC is an ultimate formula for happiness, and for the TTCs you will see that by the 4th week, okay? If you still have any doubts what this Swami is talking about, you will see it by the 4th week when the pizza and ice cream come. But truly, this TTC is something that we recommend for everybody, something that will enrich our life in ways that we cannot even comprehend. It's a true formula to happiness. But in addition to TTC, there's another special formula to happiness, which is Krishna Das. So we like to give a very warm welcome to Krishna Das. Krishna Das was just threatening me. No, he didn't. But before already Krishna Das mentioned that we can say a few words about him or bio, but it always has to be something different. We cannot read the bio again. That's true. So we would just like to take the opportunity to appreciate Krishna Das's great support of the ashram and for coming to the ashram for so many years. And it is we greatly appreciate Krishna Das's life's work and mission, and this total dedication to his guru and teacher. We can definitely feel that Shakti, or that divine power, coming from Nim Karoli Baba Maharaj, and from this divine lineage that Krishna Das is really acting as an instrument. And in our tradition, this practice of chanting is of a great significance. Swami Shivananda, the practice of chanting was prominent in his life, and he would lead mass gatherings of Kirtan, and his life was dedicated to invoke the love of the divine in so many people around the world. So we greatly appreciate Krishna Das's life's mission and inspiring so many people around the world on the spiritual path and to connect with God and Guru. And we feel very honored that he has this wonderful connection with the ashram coming for so many years. So without further ado, we should have to ask some English speaker. to give a very big hand to Krishna Das, Arjun, and Nina Rao. Let's give them a hand.
All this for the same words over and over. One day, someone came to the temple to speak to Maharaji. And he said, Baba, what should I do? I don't feel any devotion when I sing. I don't feel any devotion. What should I do? And I think this is something that many of us deal with because we go through all our stuff all the time. You can't just push a button and feel devoted, feel any love. So Maharaji said, well, through the repetition of the name, everything is accomplished. That's a very big statement. Because he knows he accomplished everything. And he says that through this practice of the repetition of these names, everything is accomplished. Everything. That's a really big statement. And he didn't lie about those things. He would say, oh, I'll be back, in 3 hours. 4 months later. But about the real stuff, you asked me today or yesterday or sometime in the last 50 years, so what was it like being with him? And absolute, total trust. When was the last time you were with somebody where you knew that this person was there for you 100%? They had no agenda of their own other than to help us. These great beings, they've finished. They did it. They've done it all. In millions of lifetimes, they've done it all. They're only here because we need them. And these practices we do are our way of connecting with every one of these great beings that ever lived and will ever live, because they're all right here in our own hearts. And these names that we chant, they're not the names of something up in the sky, a little blue baby running around up there. Although, if you look hard enough, you'll find it. These are the names of the love that lives within each one of us. That's hidden, that's covered, that's buried. And this is the way we uncover that. The other thing you said is, even if at first you don't feel any devotion, gradually, as you keep doing these practices, that feeling of love starts to emerge from within us. And it's a different kind of love. It's a love that doesn't come and doesn't go. You don't fall in it, you don't fall out of it. And it's like the sun rising. As the sun rises, everything looks different. Everything looks clearer and looks like what it really is. It's not in shadows anymore. A jungle isn't like a fearful place. It's just trees. So as the light gets brighter, the way we see the world, the way we see ourselves, just transformed little by little. And you may not notice, because the real changes are under the radar. Maybe if I can get this in my ear. You wind up spending less time in negative states of mind. Less time thinking that you're no good, that you'll never make it, you'll never get what you want. Less time in fear, less time in shame, less time in grief. But you don't notice. Because it's that part of us that evaluates, that judges all the time, that's getting thinned out. Pranavam Bhavanakuma Kalabana Pavaka Ghanagan Jasuhrdadayaga Pasiram Sarachabudha Atulitabaladham Imshalabadeham Danujavana Krishna Yani Nama Kraganyam Sakalaguna Nidhan Vanaranam Adhisham Raghupati Priya Bhaktam Vatajatam Namah Goshpadi Kritavarnasham Mashiki Kritarakshasam Ramayana Mahamalaratnam Vande Nilatmajam Anjananandaram Viram Janaki Shokanashanam Kapisa Vande Lanka Ankaram Langa Sindho Salilam Salilam Yashokahi Janakatmaja Adaitanir Dadahalanka Amamitam Pranjali Ranjanayam Manojavam Marutulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Vadishtam Atatmajam Vanarutamukyam Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadhe Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadhe I take shelter, refuge in the messenger of Ram, the one who brings Ram to me. This is Hanuman. Flow of grace. Once we enter into that flow of grace, next stop is Ram. Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadhe Anjaneya Matipatalan Kanchanadri Kamaniya Vigraham Parijata Tarumula Vasanam Avehami Pavamananandanam Yatra Yatra Raghunath Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Kritamastakhanjali Vashpavari Paripurna Lochanam Martinamat Rakshasantakam Bolo Bajranga Bali Hanuman Ki Jai. Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram Jai, Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 yeah, 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 Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram. Govinda Hare Gopal Hare He Prabhu Dinadala Hare Govinda Hare Gopal Hare He Prabhu Dinadala Hare Govinda Hare Gopal Hare He Prabhu Dinadala Hare You know, we think about, as Westerners, it's very hard for us to really believe, you know, that these beings are as real as we think we are. So in 1989, I was at the Kumbh Mela in Prague. And it was, you know, every 12 years there's a Kumbh. And every 12 years, every 144 years, there's a Maha Kumbh. So in 1989 was, they say at the time, was the Maha Kumbh. And it was small. There was only 25 million people there. Not like this year. And I was staying with a Baba who was, at the time, he was 163. And he really was. I mean, when I first met him, he said, "Oh, you're from America. You remember when Lincoln was shot?" And he said, "Oh, no, you wouldn't remember. We read about it in the papers," he said. And so one day he went to visit his elder guru brother, who was 270. And he was a very well-known saint. His name was Devaraha Baba. And he'd been living in the same, Devar is a county, or a district in Uttar Pradesh. And he'd been there for like a few hundred years. Everybody knew him. So while the younger Baba was visiting his older brother, the older brother said, "Oh, Sri Krishna came to me and he asked me to come play with him. So I'm going to go. He asked me to come to Vrindavan to play with him. So I'm going to go." And he left his body about a week later. That's some play. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Strange how things work. In the fall of 1972, we were living in the temple. And wherever Maharaji was, he always had these Bengali Kirtan Wallahs sing Hare Krishna from like 4 in the morning till 11 at night in shifts. It wasn't an endurance test like we would do it. But one day, one of the Bengali guys tried to seduce one of the Western women that was in the temple with us. And of course, Maharaji found out about it. And in about 5 minutes, all 20 of these guys were loaded on the back of a truck, driven down to the train, sent home to Vrindavan. So one of the Indian people said, Baba, you just sent the Kirtan Wallahs away. Who's going to sing now? Guess. The Westerners. It was, I don't know how to describe it to you, but it was the worst torture I could possibly imagine. Because we had to sit in this little room around the side, and when he came out, we couldn't see him. We had one instruction, that was to sing. No hint about how long we were going to be banished to eternal damnation. And, you know, we hardly played the instruments or anything, you know, da, 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 da. And after like 5 minutes, you get bored, you know, and you realize you have maybe another 10 hours to go. So your mind just starts to go, you know, I relived my life a few times, you know. Yeah, I remember I was born, yeah. Then I thought about my old girlfriend back in America, Hare. And then I remember she broke up with me, Hare. See, the thing is you can't stop singing no matter what you're feeling. And then there was this microphone that was left over from World War I, hanging from the ceiling. And our squalling was being transmitted to the whole valley. You could see the ladies in the field picking potatoes like, but it was really actually incredible grace. These days we have so many channels. We can change the channel. Bored, let's do something else. Bored, there's 5,000 channels. Netflix has 40 million things you could watch. There was nothing to do. There was nowhere to go. There was no escape. It was Hare Krishna from then until death do us part. And, you know, after a while, the mind just says, all right, I'm out of here, you know. But because I was forced to do that, I was forced to sit through every possible state of mind you can imagine. I couldn't go anywhere. There was nowhere to go. A couple of times I tried to pretend I was going to the bathroom in the back of the temple. He'd be sitting there. I'd be looking this way but walking this way. And he'd go, "Up, Joe." And then I'd try it on the way back, "Up, Joe." No escape, which is grace. It's torture until it changes. So the only reason I'm here is because he forced us to do that. Really, there's no way I would have ever done that on my own. No way. Saraswati, we sing it together. Saraswati Namaha. Saraswati of the night, the goddess in the night. She fills all space with the radiance of her face. Conquers darkness with her light. Om Shri Matre Namah. Om Shri Matre Namah. Jaya Jagarambe, Hey Ma Durga.
Jaya Jagarambe, Jai Ma Durga.
Jaya Jagarambe, Hey Ma Durga.
Jaya Jagarambe,
Om Narayani Om Narayani In 1999, I came here for the first time. And I met Bernie Glassman, Roshi, Bernie Glassman. I had heard about him, and I had seen his picture in those spiritual magazines, you know, the kind you read when you're really reading a comic book inside. I'd seen his picture, and he scared the shit out of me. You know, he looked fierce, angry. And I heard he took people out in the street to these homeless retreats where they didn't have any money, no credit cards. They had to eat in soup kitchens and sleep in the park. No way was I doing that. So when I heard he was going to be here when I got here, I kind of like, oh man. So I walked up off the boat. We took the boat in those days across the... And there he was. And he walked right up to me and he grabbed me and hugged me. And he said, I love you. And he said, I listen to you all the time. I said, you can't do that. You're a Zen master. He said, I'm a Zen master. I can do what I want. And it turned out his wife had died a few years before, and for 1 year, all he could do was he put the headphones on and he put Namah Shivaya on repeat, and he just worked on his computer listening to that for a year. So what could I do? I fell in love with him. We became very close friends. It was really special. So one day I got an email from him with 8 lines of a prayer on it. And at the bottom he wrote, can you do something with this? So I wrote back, like what? And he said, well, you know, we Buddhists aren't that good with melody. Maybe you could come up with a good melody for this prayer, which is something we could sing at the Zen Peacemakers meetings. He started this group called the Zen Peacemakers. So he said, and then you could sing it at the next meeting. I said, well, when's that? And he said, 11 months. I said, okay. So I carried the words around the world with me a few times. I looked at them, they looked at me, I looked at nothing was happening. You know? So I wrote them, I said, Bernie, you know, can I mess with the words a little? I got a 1-word email back, mess. Very Zen. So I kind of rearranged the words and this melody showed up. And so I said, I wrote to him, I said, Bernie, I have this melody now. And he said, good. Now you can start to work on the rest of the prayer. So I wrote back, how long is that? He said, like 20 pages. So I wrote back, Bernie, that'll take me 3 lifetimes. I got a 1-word email back, 2. So this prayer was very important to him. It's from the Japanese Zen teachings, and it's called the Gates of Sweet Nectar. And the idea is that one enters through these gates into the world, the land of sweet nectar, by offering one's heart and one's bodhi mind, one mind of enlightenment, the mind that longs for freedom, offering that to all beings who are lost and afraid in all the many different worlds. You see, Bernie had this big experience in the back of a car on the way to work. That's, by the way, when it'll happen. Forget when you're sitting. You know, nothing ever happens then. He was in the car on the way to work, and he experienced the connection between all beings, that we're all completely interconnected, and that there are so many beings lost and afraid and lost in different worlds that are hungry, and they're hungry for our love. and our connectedness, to be connected with them. And he saw that this was like a transforming experience for him. So, never being one to like waste a good melody, I thought, well, we want to offer our hearts. We'd like to be able to do that, but forget it. We can't do that. We're too busy. We have a lot of klesha, a lot of obstacles, a lot of dust on the mirror of our hearts. And who is the remover of dust? Hanuman, right? That's his name, Sankata-mochan, Sankata-harana, ocean of compassion. That's what he does. He removes the obstacles that we have to merging with our own true self, with Ram. So I'm going to sing that prayer twice, and then we're going to sing Hanuman Chalisa. And that's the deal. Oh, it's not the deal. So the way the prayer is written, the last line says, all of your sorrow, I make it mine. We're taking on the sorrow of all these beings. So when Nina and I got to that meeting of the Zen peacemakers, I showed Bernie the words because he hadn't seen it since I rearranged it. And he looked at that last line and he said, wait a minute. I don't just want your sorrow. I want your joy too. So I had to change it. He just changed like a 1,000-year-old sutra. That's what happens when you're a Zen master from Brooklyn. Calling out to hungry hearts everywhere through endless time. You who wander, you who thirst, I offer you this body mind. Calling out to hungry spirits everywhere through endless time. Calling out to hungry hearts, all the lost and the left behind. Gather round and share this meal, your joy and your sorrow, I make it mine. By the way, there are a lot of lost and hungry hearts in this world too. Calling out to hungry hearts everywhere through endless time. You who wander, you who thirst, I offer you this heart of mine. Calling out to hungry spirits everywhere through endless time. Calling out to hungry hearts, all the lost and the left behind. Gather round and share this meal, your joy and your sorrow, I make it mine. Shri Guru Charan Saroja Raja Jamana Mukur Sudhari Parano Raghubar Bimala Jasu Jodayaka Palachari Buddhihin Tanu Janike Sumeram Pavana Kumar Siyaram Balla Buddhi Vidya Dehu Mohi Harahu Kaleshas Vikara Savara Ramachandra Pada Jai Sharanam Jaya Hanuman Jnana Guna Sara Jaya Kabisati Loka Pujara Ramadutta Katulata Baladam Anjani Putra Bhavana Sutana Mahavira Vikram Bhajarangi Umati Nivara Sumati Kesangi Kanchana Varana Virada Subesa Karana Kundala Kunchita Kesa Ata Bhajura Tvacha Virada Ande Munjanjane Usaja Shankara Suvana Kesari Nanda Teja Pratha Mahajagavanda Vidyavan Muni Ati Chatu Ramakarja Karibe Koatu Prabhu Charita Sunibe Korasiya Rama Lakhana Sita Manavasiya Sukshma Rupa Dharisiya Ambika Vikata Rupa Dharalanka Chara Bhima Rupa Dhari Asura Sanhari Ramachandra Ekada Swavari Jaya Sajivana Lakhana Jiyaya Shri Raghubira Hara Shri Guralai Raghupati Kinhi Bahut Barai Tuma Mama Priya Bharatai Samalai Asavadan Tumaro Jasagan Asakahi Shri Pati Kantalaga Sanakadika Brahmadi Munisa Narada Sharada Sahita Ahisa Makubera Digapala Jahante Kabiko Bindakai Sake Kahante Tuma Upakara Sugriva Inkina Rama Milai Raja Padadina Tumaro Mantra Vibhishanamai Lankeshwara Vaya Sabha Jagajana Yuga Sahasra Dojana Parabana Viryota Madura Palajana Prabhu Mudrika Vele Mukamahi Jaladilangi Gaya Charanjanahi Durga Makaja Jagata Kejeta Sugama Anugraha Tumarete Rama Tuare Tumara Kavare Otana samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka
So we'd like to give a very big hand to Krishna Das for this beautiful story. God's grace, tomorrow we have one more a program with Krishna Das, and I would like to give another very big hand to Arjun and Nina. Also, I'd like to thank very much Kevin and the sound. Let's give a very big hand. Thank you all of our wonderful production team, working very hard, doing a great job. So now we'll review the schedule for tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll be continuing the special Yoga of Chant retreat. We'll have another workshop here at 12 o'clock, and then in the evening Satsang, the concert. And for the rest of the schedule for tomorrow, we'll be having tomorrow the Satsang on the beach. So we'll be meeting at 6 a.m. by the beach showers and going for a meditation walk, chanting, and a short teachings on the beach. And tomorrow in the beach walk, we'll be sharing some teachings from a special book of Swami Shivananda called Shivananda's Gospel of Divine Life. Then at 8 o'clock, we'll have the yoga classes. We'll have an intermediate class on the beach platform, and a second intermediate class on the Bay platform, and a beginner's class on the Bay West platform. Then 9:50 the brunch, 11 o'clock the ashram welcome and history tour, living from reception for any new guest. At 12 o'clock we'll have the workshop here with Krishna Das as part of the Yoga of Chant retreat. And then at 4 o'clock we'll have